Hi, this is Cheryl on Agnes Reads. Blacky and Whity. One Sunday evening, Joe returned with two chickens tied to the front of his Bajaj Chetak scooter from the local village Sunday market. Little Agnes looked at her slightly adult chicken pets in awe as her dad untied them from the scooter. One was fully white feathered as snow, and the other all black feathered as charcoal. Joe named them Whitey and Blacky. Joe and his wife Sally decided to accommodate Blacky and Whitey in their scooter room. This was a small room below the outer stairway to the terrace, so it had a low ceiling. Joe parked his Bajaj Chetak scooter in this room. This room also housed the water motor and the underground water tank. Blacky and Whitey sat at the two ends of the room, not wanting to acknowledge they were birds of the same feather. The sun went down. At sharp 7 p.m., the evening prayers were said each day, except on Sundays. Once the family prayer was over, Sally set the table for dinner. Agnes quickly sat down on her small blue little chair. Dinner was over by 7:30 in the night. As per Joe's timetable for little Agnes, she was supposed to be tucked to bed by 7:45. Soon after dinner, Agnes was wished good night and tucked to bed. Sally finished clearing off the dinner table, packed her books for classes the next day, cleaned the kitchen. Soon Sally joined Agnes in bed and Joe followed. The next morning, the alarm rang at 5. Joe switched off the alarm and woke up little Agnes. Little Agnes woke up all excited to see how Whitey and Blacky were doing. Agnes quickly went to Christ's statue, prayed a morning prayer, brushed her teeth, and waited for Joe to open the scooter room gate. Joe mixed wheat and water and made small balls of those to feed the chickens. Agnes watched the new tasks performed by Joe. Finally, Joe opened the scooter room and helter-skelter ran and flew out Whitey and Blacky in two different directions onto two corners of Joe's garden. Joe ran behind each one and brought them back after a good cardio. Joe decided to tie a rope on Whitey's and Blacky's leg until they learned to walk together. It was a long, lengthy rope, with Whitey on one end and Blacky on the other. Whitey and Blacky still chose to run in opposite directions, but with the rope in place, it was easy for Joe to catch them and pick them up. The rope gave a push and pull effect to Blacky and Whitey as they walked in opposite directions. It was 8 o'clock and Sally was all dressed and left for school. She was a teacher there. The school was at a walkable distance from home. Joe poured the ragi malt for himself and Agnes. Agnes carefully sipped through the hot ragi malt, blowing it off to cool off and make sure she doesn't burn her tongue. After breakfast, Joe and Agnes went to check on the chickens. The chickens were entangled in a nearby weed. Joe went in and untangled the rope, giving Blacky and Whitey a breather. This getting stuck in a shrub or weed and untangling went on for a week. Sally returned home at 4 in the evening, made tea for herself and Joe and a glass of milk for Agnes. Again, the wheat balls were made and Joe fed Blacky and Whitey. Soon, Blacky and Whitey understood the rope mechanism and realized staying together would be best for them to move around without getting tangled in the bushes. 2 weeks in, Whitey and Blacky became good friends, looking out for each other. At the end of the third week, Joe got rid of the rope, but now Blacky and Whitey moved around together even without the rope. Soon the two started venturing outside the garden into the nearby paddy fields and roads, but returning home religiously at 5:15 sharp every evening on their own. Once they were back, Joe would fling the wheat ball and the faster hen would get a go at it. It was clear that Blacky was a go-getter. Joe had to space a few wheat balls as convenient to Whitey and she'd pick them up. By 6 in the evening, this activity would be over. Both Blackie and Whitey would be put under a meshed wooden basket with meshed gaps, making space for air and light to enter into the basket. The basket gave them a cozy space to lay. A few weeks later, Whitey laid an egg in the basket inside the scooter room. After the two hens ventured out to eat, Joe picked it up and showed Agnes the egg. Once Sally was back from work that evening, she boiled that egg and gave it to Agnes. Little Agnes was so amazed that she was eating the egg laid by Whitey. Joe sat next to her Agnes and worryingly told her, "Agnes, you've eaten Whitey's egg. And in the evening, once she's back, she is going to search the whole scooter room. If she ever figures out you are the one who ate her egg, she's going to be furious at you." Agnes was scared. That day evening, when Blackie and Whitey returned, she shut the main door and looked at them through the window until they ate their evening wheat ball and were put under the basket in the scooter room. Agnes was very worried and told Sally about Whitey going to be mad at her. Sally almost broke out laughing, but comforted little Agnes, saying, "There is nothing for you to worry. Whitey will never figure that out." This calmed Agnes, and each day thereafter she ate one boiled egg. With each passing day, Blackie and Whitey became inseparable. They used to venture about 1 kilometer's radius from home, through the paddy fields and the muddy roads of the village, but return every evening at sharp 5:15 to fly and flap to get their wheat ball. A year passed by. Now Agnes started school, and Joe found a job at a local TV manufacturing unit. A few times Agnes had seen Blackie and Whitey on her way back from school. Now Sally fed the chickens in the evening, since Joe would only return by evening 7, just in time for the family prayer. One day, Sally returned from school at 4 in the evening and was surprised to find both Blackie and Whitey sitting in front of the main door waiting for someone to return. On close examination, Sally saw drops of blood on the veranda. On closer observation, she found that Whitey's leg was hurt and bleeding. Fortunately, Blackie was unhurt, but being a very sweet friend, Blackie accompanied Whitey, which must have been very comforting for Whitey. Once Joe returned from work, he immediately dressed Whitey's wounds with turmeric, antiseptic, mud, and tied a small piece of cloth over Whitey's legs. The next couple of days, Joe decided not to let them venture out until Whitey's leg got a little better. Soon the wound on Whitey's foot healed. The once unknown chickens, now best of friends, ventured out together, had a dozen of baby chicks that hatched, ran around them and grew. Blackie and Whitey lived a long life happily ever after together. This was Blackie and Whitey's story. To listen to more on Agnes Reads, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.